Right. So in the previous session, we discussed about how to create a project, especially by taking an example of point of sale system. The same time, we have created a case for payment processing, etc. At the same time, workflow process and all everything, right? So this is what something which normally the workflow process, everything was discussed in the previous session. After that, even these are all the different data models wherein this even we have seen. Next about user experience, because if you want to create any kind of user experience or something of that sort, normally user experience creation is something which we have to be performed with. In reference to the user experience here, there are two things. One is about the full page view and second is a other views, right? So because to create some user experience for the application is essentially required. So here we need to give the label, right? So for example, card holder name, right? So this is a label I have taken. So next card number, we have taken a subheading called card number. Now, if there is any kind of fields which are to be updated over here, right? So what are the highlighted fields, right? So at the same time, you want to know about the different work status or the urgencies, right? So every highlighted fields has to be updated over here. Next, we need to mention about the summary about the create and update operator or any other areas. Followed by this, these are the tabs, right? So for example, details is a tab where we are going to provide all the details, followed by history details, or is there any kind of attachments we have. So everything can be created, and once it is done, normally whatever the action items are we going to create everything, we can save it so that user experience creation can be done. And if there is any kind of changes to be made into the existing user interface you want to create for any application you are creating, all that. So we always have a choice where we can create user experiences and all, and we can run it, right? So if you want, for example, if you want to save and run, right? So you can save and run the user experience, what we have created, right? So this is what and how uh, usually this, yeah. So, right. So this is where generally you can see over here, right? So whatever the card details, you can see the following items, case ID, label, status. So these are the priority items which normally can be seen here. At the same time, if there is any kind of tasks and all everything, we can see over here. So now when it comes to the creation of the payment creations, etc., this is where as far as the payment ID, process settlements, all these were created. So there are some dashboards even to be created because we have to create different dashboards. So wherein to create some dashboards, etc. Wherein if you want to create a dashboard, here we have templates available normally because whatever the regular templates which are already available for the dashboard, because Pega has an advantage where whatever the different dashboards to be have and all everything can be taken. So normally I'm just selecting only me, okay, because I am not adding anybody here, right? So only me I am selecting. And if you want to create any kind of dashboards for the existing application or the kind of work metrics you are going to follow, right? So these are the different work metrics normally we follow, right? So you want to know about the number of work items created on a day-to-day basis, or else work volume by status if you want to perform, right? So these things we can create, and so we can create, and if you want to save it, you can save this dashboard so that required information, whatever we have created so far, and how this information we have to visualize, because visualization is one of the key and important element we need to be updated. So whatever the items are we going to select, right? So how these items can be taken into consideration. For example, 3 column is what generally the item I have taken. Okay. So subsequent dashboards can be created. Even of course, dashboard creation we do later because we have to enter the data, because unless until we are not entering the data, dashboard creation doesn't have any use, because these are all the initial session which I'm going to show you. I'm exploring about application on high level. Okay, so that is what it was, right? So this is where generally this payment processing part, at the same time creating about the user experiences, at the same time dashboards, even this payment initiation, right? Payment processing, right? So if you want to, these are the details which were updated in the previous this thing. You can see, for example, payment settlement or else payment settlement, you want to see the full life cycle, right? So this is the full life cycle of the payment settlement, wherein we need to mention about the details over here: payment processing, payment settlement. This is a complete life cycle of the case, where if there is any kind of changes which customer has given for us, if you want to make any kind of changes and all everything, we always have an option where we can do the changes in this regard. Next, when it comes to the settings part, because settings is also important, because when we are working on application, there are some settings we have to do on the application, because these settings can be of different. For example, these are all the general settings. Whatever you can see over here, these are all the general settings. Whatever the regular settings we do, the basic settings, like for example, general setting for the payment processing we have taken. Initially, 10 results you can see. At the same time, this is about the work execution, etc. is taken. Next, at the same time, there are other categories relating to attachments, attachment category, followed by auditing, etc. So this editing part, this because this is important, settings are important. How to make settings, being a business analyst, at the same time being a role as an admin, kind of Pega admin kind of roles and all, doing some settings and making some settings on the application on the back end is one of the key and important aspect, right? So we have to be focused more on. So this settings part I'm going to discuss tomorrow, right? So because initially to create an application, baseline application is created. So backend settings we have to make, that we are going to discuss tomorrow. Okay, right.